All right, I am back in sunny South Africa here in the Hot Box Gym with Colin Nathan, getting your first reaction to the devastating result that occurred in Monte Carlo, Monaco. I don't know if you can sum it up in a few words for us, just your initial reactions.
Didn't see that fucking coming. I mean, wow, just that's what makes boxing boxing. I mean, obviously I've been miserable the last couple of days. I'm okay now, and Siva's good. But that's just one of those fuck me moments. I mean, I was like, wow, accept it. We got caught with the hard shots. And it's a hard learning lesson. Siva made one critical mistake. He pulled the wrong side. Left hand was low. Guy timed his jab. Perfectly timed right hand. It's boxing. As miserable and hurt as I was or I am, if you're not prepared to take the consequences of what the sport presents, you shouldn't be in it. So, yeah, it's a hard loss. Didn't expect that, like I said, but we live to fight another day, and he's young enough to come back.
Yeah, you're right about the young enough part, and obviously a lot of the media focus, because you had a lot of different media companies interviewing him as well. A lot of the media focus is on him fighting for unifications, and there's obviously a big disappointment with the result just based on what they wanted for his future, and now just in a nutshell, for him just to get sparked in the second round, that's kind of all those dreams are kind of disappeared for the current time. Yeah,
at the moment, obviously they have to be put on hold. Can he get back to where he was? Absolutely, he's young enough. But obviously, a lot of people saying, oh, we're overlooking Adrian, but we weren't. The reality was, when journalists were asking us, do we want to unify, what were we going to do? And sit there and say, oh, no, we're not ready, We were a champion, and obviously as a champion, you want to fight the other champions. So it's just one of those things, really, where it happens, it's boxing.
Well, let's also look at the whole event as a whole, the experience as a whole. Going back to Monte Carlo after many years that boxing hasn't been on high alert like that. So, what was your take on the event?
Very professionally run, very slick production. Just great being with Eddie and Frank and obviously Mike Woodstock. Big shout out to Larry for coming out from Boxing 5 to support us. It was just great being with him as well. But the whole event was just fantastic. Monte Carlo, like I said to you in a previous interview, has changed quite dramatically. There's a lot more building, there's a lot more construction going on. It kind of looks the same, but it doesn't look the same. But it's just great being back. Unfortunately, a terrible result, but that's the sport. Siva's young enough to come back, like we said, and he will come back, and he will be champion again.
I know it's soon, whether we ask what's going to happen next after a win, whether we ask it after a loss, but what do you foresee?
Look, there was talk right after the event of a rematch, and if we get the rematch, I'll jump straight back in it. I think Siva does have the beating of the sky. If not, if we have to hang around and wait, we'll do an interim bout and bring him back. I need to mention Nomfasani Yatelu, who's just been an amazing support to Siva before, during, and after. So you saw social media with her being at the airport. It's awesome, Obviously, it would have been a very different experience with a lot of the wannabes there if he had won. And it just shows who's in our corner when we're down. So big shout out to her, big respect to her. And what's next? I think he needs to take a break. And we'll navigate a way forward in January, February and see what's next and see what presents itself.
I'm not trying to draw any excuses, but in a young man's mind like Siva, surrounded by the Springboks winning the World Cup, the South African cricket team doing exceptionally well on the international stage, all that going ahead, him wearing the Springbok jersey is a very proud South African. Any of that, do you think that he maybe looked overhyped in the fight?
Look, we have no excuses. Maybe a little bit of overconfidence going in. But, he's riding on a high. He's just come off a mandatory win against a fighter who probably beats Adrian Currell. And Siva's beaten fighters who are better than him. But just not on the night. We got nailed, and it's boxing, and it was obviously shocking and surprising and disappointing. But that's the sport, Hayden. It can happen. It's going to happen to me again. Obviously, I want to win. And I work to win every single contest. But it's not called winning, it's called sport, and especially boxing. One punch And again, you walked in thinking he's not a big puncher. He nailed us with a full-blooded shot, and we went down. That's the sport of boxing. And like I'm saying to you, if you're not prepared for the consequences of the sport, don't be in it. So the highs are the highs, and the lows are the fucking lows. Yeah. But I've experienced it before, and I'll experience it again. And my job now is obviously to get him back in the winning column and to make him champion of the world again. And I believe I will.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's definitely young enough, and he's got many, many years ahead of him, and you're obviously going to be working with him going forward.
One thing which was weird in the dressing room, I'm not superstitious and shit like that, but I was thinking, this is our 13th fight. And then it's crazy, but it happens. I've been in situations where fighters have been unbeaten from the 12th going to the 13th fighters. But that crossed my mind, and I was like, Colin, because you have many emotions and thoughts running through. And it was interesting because Bernie actually said to me in the dressing room, was like, do I still get nervous? And obviously I deal with it a lot better now because of experience, and I love that feeling. But just like 13th fights, and that's what happens. It's crazy. It's just boxing.
I think the fact that he's in his 13th fight and a world champion already was crazy statistics alone. I mean, for him to be that young, that experienced, I mean, that's another level.
Yeah, and also just reflecting on the loss. We've had fighters who've been knocked out before and came back and became champion. I mean, probably the greatest example is Amir Khan. Bradis Prescott knocked him out in one round, and then he regrouped and became champion of the world, and a very good champion, I might say. So it happens, and I think when fighters, trainers, or managers or promoters say it can never happen, and this is a sport where you can never say that, because it can, and it happened to us on Saturday.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's obviously a horrendous result, but I mean, that's not the end of the world. The sun still comes up the next day, and Sive will be fighting for another 10 to 15 years. He's got a long career ahead of him. Hopefully, he pursues it for that long. We'll see. 15 years, maybe a bit much, maybe 10 years. Let's look at the other stuff that's going on right now. We're back in South Africa, so we can talk about South African boxing again. Obviously, Boxing 5's got a nice tournament coming up featuring a few of your athletes again. I know Joshua Feldman will be there. I know that Ishmael Kadri and just a few others. Can you just run us through that bill?
Yeah, so the bill's nearly pretty much finalized. We've got Sequence Nokotoli obviously headlining. And then we've got obviously our guys. We're also looking at bringing Frank back as well. So in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, everything's going to be confirmed. But just exciting to close off the show. Hey, my guy. Close off the show. Just obviously we're expecting a sellout. Just looking forward to Boxing 5. It's just been a great year for us, irrespective of the administrative delays. And just there's been a lot of momentum with regards to the brand, and we're looking forward to a cracking next year. Really, 2024 is going to be great. Katlego Kanyisa just walked in. What a great little prospect. Expecting big things of him next year. So, just it's going to be a great year.
I'll put a question to you, because obviously this year Boxing 5 had plans, and there was reasons why 2 tournaments at the very least didn't go ahead, but six tournaments in a year, fair enough. That's still a great year for boxing and for promoters. The plan was for 8. Do you foresee that being the plan next year?
Look, I think one of our plans for next year is to maybe not 8, maybe 6, but also start incorporating African championships now into the fold. We've started to establish our brand. We've established our young prospects. We've identified our young prospects. We've also identified our world-class athletes. So I think next step is to start doing African championships. And then from then, let's build momentum on that. And there's just so many opportunities just out there. It's just a matter of, securing those opportunities and making them happen, getting them over the line as well.
Yeah, obviously what this year did was it produced a lot of young prospects. Obviously, not even in your stable, like the likes of Samir Muller came out of this project. We're looking at Katlego Kanyisa came out of this project, took 1 fight on TLB, but then, of course, is with Boxing 5 promotion. So there are some names that have started to emerge. Joshua Feldman's a young guy that just came out. Ishmael Kadri.
I'm very high on Ishmael Kadri. He's just getting better and better. Developing, showing lots of promise on his development. So we're just very excited. Samir's also one of those kids who just, he's just getting developing, and he's getting out there. And I think we just have such a great talent pool. We really, really do. It's just, and also don't forget, and he was going to fight, but he's got issues with his lungs. He's not 100% confident and 100% fit and healthy, is Caden Tuta. So he's going to get more momentum next year. He'll be on the first event for Boxing 5 for next year. But he's one of those kids as well. Like, the other prospects we've mentioned, I believe is going to go very, very far. Very, very far.
And I just forgot one more. I think Creed Moyo as well. He's also undefeated.
Creed as well. Frank, if he performs. Creed's also showing a lot of promise at welterweight. We moved him up, as you know, and he's doing really well. He had a outstanding win against Sheldon Schultz. I was expecting that kind of win and that kind of performance. And then obviously we're going to move him along. Also look at it, maybe towards the end of next year, like an African championship, he keeps winning, going through the ranks. So there's some good fights out there, I know you mentioned Wasim Chelan. That could happen, that could happen if we could, get that fight going towards the end of next year. Why not? I mean, it's two exciting prospects, And by the way, my condolences to the Bryce family, the passing of their father, Basil. Very sad. So to the Bryce family, we're thinking of you, and to my condolences to the family. But just going back, so there's just a lot of exciting things happening. Hopefully administratively, we don't have the same kind of mess we had this year. And just obviously development, we've got to keep pushing the fights and developing the fighters, which I'm very passionate about. And I think there's going to be some great fights for next year, some great breakout fights for next year. Nokotoli's in the mix. Loretta Dlamini's in the mix. The head of Walmans is in the mix. They're on the cusp of fighting for potentially massive, massive fights. There's talk of Dlamini for a return against Kamida. We spoke about that last week in Monte Carlo. Depending if the numbers make sense and if it's a good deal, but we'll take it, If we don't get Lopez, we'll take it. I think Loretta's got the beating of him. Nokotoli against Martinez, that's a great fight. I know Jonas might be fighting Mikael Mayer early next year. So hopefully the winner of that will fight Hedda. We're very, very close now. So it's just keeping the momentum going. And then obviously a big focus for us will be DJ Grill, getting him in contention. And then, let's see. I'll have a chat with Heki about to see what he wants to do. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of good activity with Boxing 5. So very, very amped about it.
Very, very amped. And as you said, all those prospects you mentioned benefited from the development tournaments that Boxing 5 put on and the international tournament as well that got hosted in between that. I want to ask a burning question, right? Because we've seen on social media, Ruan Visser, he's in and around South Africa again. And I'm sure a lot of people are asking me, like, is he training? Is he training with Colin? Because, you guys do post pictures on social media together. You posted something the other day. What is the situation with Ruan?
We start training tomorrow. Okay. We start our relationship officially in boxing tomorrow. We've obviously friends, but our boxing relationship starts tomorrow. Funny enough, he sent me a text of his run this morning, and I said to him, let's go. He goes, tomorrow. So we're starting tomorrow morning. I'm looking very forward to this journey. Ron's just a lovely guy. He's a big motherfucker. But yeah, I think we're going to have fun. And I said to him in the message, back to basics. So we're looking at bringing him out as well. I mean, obviously we keep talking about the next event for Boxing 5, and it's probably going to be loaded for the first fight for next year. But we obviously want to feature him and get him going and, get him winning and just, see where the road takes us.
Yeah, I also wanted to interview Ruan Visser because he was in the Francis Ngannou camp when Ngannou obviously almost beat Tyson Fury. So is Ruan Visser the secret hidden weapon?
Yeah, we discussed that in Monte Carlo. I like that angle. I'll make for a pretty good interview, I think. So yeah, I mean, obviously he was staying in touch with me, during the camp, and surprising result, two shockers, that and Siva's loss. I mean, crazy.
Well, also, even Ilunga Makabu, same day. I mean, Africa doesn't have a world champion at the moment, so that's sad.
Yeah, of course it's sad. It's sad. It's like I got back to my hotel room and I was like, fuck, It's one of those things.
Yeah,
it's one of those things.
All right, well, let's finish on a positive note. To finish out the year, we obviously have from your side, we got one more big tournament coming up, and then obviously you're going to reset and come back next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, obviously we all systems go for this event. It'll be announced probably in the next 48 hours. What's today? Wednesday. So definitely by the weekend, everything should be set and done. We can start pumping on socials and who's going to be featured. And that's going to be the end of it for the year. Take a break. And then obviously 2024, we like coming back with a bang, man.
All right. All the best for that one. And we look forward to that one.
Yeah, thank you. Viva, bro. Thank you.